Moron League later.
So here's Moron League later, the very first thing I ever produced for YouTube, all the way back in 2007, and boy does it show. And I don't even know what gave me this idea or why I thought somehow mashing up the Nerdlucks from Space Jam and Action League Now would make for a good video, but at that time there were actually other Action League Now parodies on YouTube. Matter of fact, one of them is still available to this day if you look it up, Action League Now by Benji Kaufman. It definitely falls into the so bad it's good category. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe I felt like I could do one of my own. But, you know, the interesting thing is, as a kid, I somehow felt like the Nerdlucks had more potential to be used beyond just Space Jam. Though, looking back on it in retrospect, I'm not even sure why, because they were all kind of flat, one-note characters. So, I mean, really, I really had to flesh them out a little bit more for these things. And of course, obviously, I tried my best to imitate their voices. Not was definitely the hardest, simply because after I finally hit puberty and my voice finally changed in high school, doing high falsetto voices became such a strain for me, even though I used to be really good at them. I mean, I could do a mean Elmo when I was younger. I really could, but now, not so much. And, you know, as good as I am at doing voices, I'm not so good at doing accents. So I didn't even bother trying to do Blanco's California accent. And even now, if I try to do a California accent, I'm more or less like just do an imitation of like Leif Garrett from World's Dumbest, you know? And obviously I tried to make each of the Nerdlucks a counterpart to an Action Leaguer. There was no question in making Pound the counterpart to the Chief, since both of them are the loud, short-tempered bosses. And of course Blanco could easily be the Flesh's counterpart, since they were both kind of the dopiest ones of their groups. The others were just a little bit more of a challenge. I figured Bupkis would probably be Meltman's counterpart, since neither of them really did anything. They were just kind of there. I mean, Meltman had that power to melt. And in fact, I remember in an Action League Now fan dub, not a parody, but a fan dub, the opening ended with, "Meltman, he doesn't do shit." So that's where that line, "Bupkis doesn't do squat," came from. And oh hey, there's Tommy making her YouTube debut even before she popped up in Steve's videos. And you know, I had no way to edit at the time, but before this re-upload, thanks to Adobe Premiere, I was able to fix some mistakes, like this shot right here. If you remember way back in the original upload, this shot right here came out upside down. I have no idea why, but I was able to fix that in Adobe Premiere. And there's another thing I was able to fix here coming up, you'll see. But first, wait for it. Wait for it. Bam! Chuckimation. Just throwing it into frame and letting it crash. That's what Chuckimation is all about. That's what made Action League Now so famous. So any chance I got, I would do this in these Moron League shorts. It became a running gag in the sequel, which you'll see later. But getting back to Bupkis, I recently read that he's supposed to be the dumb muscle of the group. And I guess that's why his Nerdluck design has his chest all puffed up and his Monstar design had those bulging biceps. But they really didn't expand on that very well in the movie Space Jam. So I didn't know that. Okay, here's where I fixed something else in Adobe Premiere, because I didn't have any monofilament and I used this black yarn to pull that scout pod and it showed. So I put an overlay to block it out for the re-upload. And here's an example of Scarborough Humor 101. Poop jokes are never funny. Bird poop jokes are always funny. And don't worry, that's just lotion. Now, getting back to the Nerdlucks and their Action League counterparts, the other two, Bang and Knot, were a little more tricky. But as far as Bang goes, I remember he seemed quick to pull out his ray gun in like promotional images and things like that. Even though in the movie he seemed kind of wimpy and neurotic, but because of always shown with a ray gun and everything, I figured that'd make him a good counterpart to Stinky Diver. He was always quick to shoot off that harpoon of his, and they both kind of have attitudes. And well, all that left was Knot and Thunder Girl, and in a sense, I guess they're both the least stupid ones of their group, so I guess that made sense. Oh gosh, this was so shoddy. This was so shoddy, and I can't even believe look at this. I didn't even use a tripod for this. I had it. I had a tripod. Why didn't I use it? And I honestly think I made this up as I went along because I don't remember planning any of this out. But again, I was shooting videotape at the time, and since I had no way of editing, since Movie Maker was a piece of crap, everything had to be shot in order, in sequence, and the raw footage was the final project. And I honestly, again, because this was so shoddy, I honestly expected people to hate this. And I mean, yeah, I did get occasional troll comments from time to time, but for the most part, people actually did like this. They really did. I guess because of its connection with 90s kids and anyone with a good sense of humor, I guess people just liked it. And some of them liked it enough that they asked for a sequel, which I did do a couple of years later. And we'll discuss in another commentary another time. Here's Godzilla Tommyzilla. And again, my camcorder had a little feature where you could do visual effects on the camcorder, which was basically just filters, and using that red filter there to kind of make her look big, mean, and evil. Which, if you remember, I achieved that later a couple of times with Tommy again when she was giving Steve a hard time. And speaking of which, I think I did this. I think I did this right before I started doing Steve videos for YouTube.
You gotta do it yourself.
And don't worry, I cleaned Pound off after he fell in Tommy's crap. Anytime the figures got dirty, I cleaned them off afterwards. And of course, here's Pound dressing them down, even though they saved his life, ungrateful little bastard. So anyway, like I said, here it is, Moron League Later, my very first original YouTube short. And like I said, Moron League sequel, we'll get to that another time. But until then, peace out.
The end.